Cabinet ministers and Canada's new fentanyl czar traveled to Washington to make the case that Canada's $1.3 billion border plan, it is working. Canadian officials met with members of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration Thursday. This trip is an 11th hour attempt, right, to avoid a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods that Donald Trump says will start on March 4th, which, by the way, is Tuesday. For a closer look at how Canada's border plan is working, we are joined by CTV's public safety analyst, Chris Lewis. Good to see you today.
Good morning, Lindsay.
U.S. Customs says fentanyl seizures from Canada decreased by 97% in January. Keep in mind, just 0.2% of fentanyl entering the U.S. comes from our country. So what changes to Canada's border security are leading to that drop?
I don't know if any of them are, really. It may just be a matter of good luck, who knows, as opposed to good management. But the bottom line is Canada is trying. I believe they should have been trying for years. There has not been enough emphasis put on this, not enough resources put to it. But recently, the RCMP have reshuffled some people around the country to address the issue in many provinces. The OPP are even assisting in Ontario. And CBSA have done some blitzes at different points, and ultimately some arrests have been made, and that's all good. That sort of stuff always did happen, but it's happening with more regularity now. The issue is, for me, is how long can this be sustained, because many thousands of resources are required to really make it happen.
Well, exactly, and that requires a lot of money. The CBSA is launching a new border security blitz called Operation Blizzard to further crack down on fentanyl. You've worked with the CBSA at the border when you led the Cornwall Regional Task Force. What goes into an operation like that?
Well, really, they have to bring people in from other areas to bolster those at specific border crossings. They'll grab them out of airports and different places. And CBSA has done that forever, really. It's just it hasn't got a lot of media attention until we're into this conversation because of the President of the United States' concerns around border security. So this now becomes kind of a, well, look, we're doing blitzes, and that's great. But they always did do it, Lindsay. This is not unusual. Now it's just more focused on the present day situation.
I keep hearing you saying we always have been doing these things. We've been doing these things. Is it just a question right now of getting it out into the media more? It's more presented to the public so that it's more visible for the administration in the U.S.?
It has to be not as piecemeal as it's been. The blitzes here and there, and having a task force in one area of the province, and putting some people in some border crossings on the American side from Canada to help with the communication, intelligence sharing, etc. That's been going on for years, but it hasn't been happening across 5,000 miles of border between us and the United States. It has to happen in a big way to protect us from guns and drugs coming in, and of course to work with the U.S. to try and keep fentanyl from coming either direction. That's important. But that requires thousands of resources and a huge cost, not just a kind of a 1 or 2 month blitz to try and show that we're doing what we can. We need to do what we can all the time for the benefit of Canadians, not just to appease the President of the United States.
Yeah, well said. Canada's fentanyl czar, Kevin Brousseau, met with Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, Thursday. You know Kevin personally. I mean, what role should he be playing in this border plan?
Well, it's really unclear what Kevin's role will be. He's a good person. I'm glad they picked him, but he's kind of a general without an army right now. Because the Army all reports to the RCMP or reports to the OPP and different police services across Canada. So I think Kevin's job is going to be to communicate, to make sure that Canada and the U.S. are talking as effectively as they can, to try and be the pointy end of the stick in terms of explaining what Canada's doing, and then hopefully he'll have a role in trying to ensure all the agencies are working together on this side and doing what they can. And of course, once again, he's not in control of those resources. Other agencies are, but he'll do his best to communicate and bring it all together. And he's very good at that sort of thing.
President Trump is doubling down on his claims about the Canada-U.S. border. We've heard him say that. In a new Truth Social post, Donald Trump says this, quote, "Drugs are still pouring into our country from Mexico and Canada at very high and unacceptable levels." He goes on to say, therefore, until it stops or is seriously limited, the proposed tariff scheduled to go in effect on March 4th will indeed go into effect as scheduled. Begs the question, Chris. I mean, what more does he want? Like, what else are we supposed to be doing here?
Well, I don't know. It's a lot of blustering. I mean, what he says about Canada and drugs just pouring in from Canada to the United States isn't true. Certainly some are. A lot more are coming our way. A lot of guns are coming our way. I don't know what he and his people are doing to stop that, but apparently we have to stop things from going into the United States. So it's just political blustering. It's him. It's the way he operates. So, I mean, in terms of diplomacy and discussions at the federal level with the U.S., they'll have to sort all these other issues around tariffs, et cetera. In the meantime, the police and others will do their best to try and appease him and ultimately do what's right for Canada anyway.
Tariff Tuesday quickly approaching. Former OPP Commissioner and CTV Public Safety Analyst Chris Lewis, thanks for your time.
Anytime. Thanks, Lindsay.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.